In a small, humble village over 2,000 years ago, the world witnessed the birth of a man who would change the course of history. His name was Jesus Christ. Today we embark on a journey through his life, a story filled with miracles, teachings, love, and sacrifice. Join us as we delve deep into the life of Jesus, from his miraculous birth to his crucifixion. The life of Jesus Christ. The Passover was a time of remembrance for the Jewish people, a celebration of their deliverance from slavery in Egypt. It was during this sacred time that Jesus gathered with his disciples in an upper room in Jerusalem, knowing that his hour had come. This would be his final meal with them, a moment rich with symbolism and profound meaning. The room was filled with a mix of emotions, anticipation, confusion, and perhaps an unspoken sense of foreboding. Jesus, fully aware of the betrayal that was to come, looked around at his closest followers. These were the men who had walked with him, learned from him, and witnessed his miracles. Yet even among them, there were doubts, misunderstandings, and a lack of full comprehension of what was about to unfold. As they reclined around the table, Jesus took bread, blessed it, and broke it. He gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take, eat, this is my body." This act was more than just sharing a meal. It was an invitation into a deeper understanding of his mission. The breaking of the bread symbolized the breaking of his own body, a foreshadowing of the suffering he was about to endure. His disciples were puzzled. They had heard Jesus speak of his death before, but they struggled to grasp the full meaning of his words. Why would he speak of his body being broken? What could this mean? But Jesus continued, undeterred by their confusion. Then, he took a cup of wine, gave thanks, and offered it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." In this moment, Jesus was establishing a new covenant, a promise of redemption and reconciliation between God and humanity. The wine represented his blood, soon to be shed on the cross, a sacrifice that would atone for the sins of all who believed in him. The disciples drank, still struggling to fully understand the weight of these words. Yet Jesus was patient. He knew that in time, the events that were about to unfold would reveal the truth to them in a way they had never imagined. He wanted them to remember this moment, to hold on to it when everything seemed lost, and to find hope in the promise he was making. Jesus then spoke of the betrayal that was imminent. "Truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me," he declared, his voice filled with both sorrow and resolve. A wave of shock swept through the room. The disciples looked at one another, and their hearts were heavy with fear and uncertainty. "Is it I, Lord?" they asked one after another, unable to comprehend that one among them would commit such an act. And then Jesus said, "He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me." All eyes turned to Judas Iscariot. He sat quietly, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. Judas too asked, "Rabbi, is it I?" And Jesus replied, "You have said so." It was a moment of painful truth, a moment that revealed the darkness hidden in Judas's heart. Despite this betrayal, Jesus did not cast Judas out or condemn him in that moment. Instead, he continued to break bread, to share the cup, and to offer himself fully to his disciples, even knowing the pain that lay ahead. It was a profound act of love and grace, a testament to his unwavering commitment to his mission of salvation, even in the face of treachery. Then, in a remarkable act of humility, Jesus rose from the table, removed his outer garment, and wrapped a towel around his waist. He poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of his disciples. This was the task of a servant, yet the master knelt before them, tenderly cleansing the dust and dirt from their feet. When he came to Peter, Peter resisted, saying, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." Peter, still confused, insisted, "You shall never wash my feet." But Jesus replied firmly, "If I do not wash you, you have no part with me." Realizing the significance, Peter exclaimed, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus smiled gently and said, He who has bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you." Again, he alluded to the presence of betrayal among them. As he finished washing their feet, Jesus returned to his place at the table and said, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you." His words were both a call to humility and a command to love. He wanted his disciples to understand that greatness in his kingdom is not about power or position, but about service and self-sacrifice. He was teaching them, in his final hours, the very essence of his message, to love one another as he had loved them. As the meal drew to a close, Jesus spoke again, this time with a tone of deep intimacy and urgency. "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." He looked at each of them, one by one. These were not just words, they were his very heart. He knew that soon he would leave them, but his love for them would remain, a love that would be their strength and their guide in the days to come. Finally, he lifted the cup once more and said, "I will not drink again of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." With these words, he pointed to a future hope, a time beyond the suffering, a promise of reunion and eternal joy in the kingdom of God. They ended their meal by singing a hymn, a tradition of the Passover, and then they prepared to leave the upper room. Jesus led them out into the night, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what lay ahead, but resolute in his purpose. The hour was drawing near when the prophecy would be fulfilled, and the Son of Man would be handed over to his enemies. The Last Supper was more than a final meal. It was a powerful declaration of love, a foreshadowing of sacrifice, and the establishment of a covenant that would forever change the relationship between God and humanity. As they left the upper room, the disciples were unaware of the magnitude of what had just transpired, but soon everything would become clear.